hello and welcome to the Young Film Academy podcast, the essential podcast for teenagers looking to find their way into the creative industries. I am Dan Allen and I'm joined by Ellen Thomas. How's it going?
Hiya Dan, I'm good, thanks.
Excellent. And have you ever felt the urge to punch someone in the face and film it?
I have not had the urge to film it. I've definitely had the urge to punch someone in the face.
Well, what if I told you you could do that safely and legally? But you
then
do
maybe
have to film
I would be interested in filming it.
Then maybe you are the perfect person to become a stunt performer.
Yes.
Which is what the topic of our discussion is today. We're talking all things stunts, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking to Jeśka Pike and Tom Jackson, who between them have been in some incredible films and TV shows, like Gangs of London, Star Wars, The Acolyte, loads of cool stuff. So we are hearing from absolute masters about what it means to be a stunt performer, what it entails, how you can be one, and the kind of skills that you need, which I know very little about at this moment, but I'm very excited to learn about it.
Yeah, let's go.
So, without any further ado, welcome Tom and Yesh-ka. How's it going?
Yeah, hi, thanks for having us.
We are very excited to have you guys. So I wonder if you could just, you guys could start, I don't know who wants to take this, but what's the difference between a stunt performer and a stunt coordinator? And then what are the other roles sort of within the stunt world?
Well, the stunt performer typically is going to be the one doing the stunt, obviously, and the coordinator is making it all happen. So your coordinator is doing all the sort of nitty-gritty, boring stuff, doing a breakdown of the script, writing up the risk assessments, figuring out how we're going to achieve it, what's the safest way to achieve it, what's going to be going on all around. And then on set, they'll be watching the monitor, seeing how it looks in camera, and then also how's the best way to put this? You're checking everyone's six. I think when I did a little film called Wolves of War, I was getting thrown out of a sidecar. I was a Nazi.
Nice.
Not at all typical of my views, by the way. Just happened to look like a German soldier. It's like a hot summer day. I'm in a heavy woolen uniform because it's obviously supposed to be I don't know where it's supposed to be, Siberian front maybe. But obviously, as I'm falling out of this sidecar, what's happening to me? I'm just getting tired and I don't realise it.
Yeah.
So after about 7 falls, I just suddenly realised I'm not playing with a full deck here. Something's a bit off. And the coordinator, he's there going, right, okay, do you know what? This is going to be our last take.
Yeah.
So your coordinator's just doing those little things to make sure that not only does it look good, but everything's safe as well.
Gotcha. Because I was thinking, you mentioned risk assessments, but in my head, for a stunt performer, for their risk assessment, it's got to be like, okay, what is the task? Jumping through a burning building. What is the risk? Jumping through a burning building. It's like, is it just, or is it stuff like, if they land like this, that could be a risk? Like, how do you risk assess for what to me feels like it's about risk, or maybe it's not about risk, it's just about the illusion of risk?
It's. I mean, the phrase I like is high stakes illusion.
Gotcha.
You should have your audience on the edge of their seats, biting their nails, going, "Oh my God, are they okay?" When the whole time they're perfectly fine. But your risk assessment, you're going, because you're not eliminating risk, you're mitigating it. So you'd be saying, okay, we're doing a car hit today. So-and-so character is riding their bicycle, and then this car comes in, Land Rover, hits them, knocks them off their bike, and they fall to the floor. Okay, that's what's happening. So you're going, right, the car must be traveling no more than 15 miles an hour. I need a really good qualified stunt driver. I need the stunt driver in that car. The car, maybe I have to make some modifications to the car. Maybe I've got to make some changes there. The bicycle, what's the condition of the bike? What's the condition of the road surface? Is it going to be wet? Is it going to be dry? What's the weather? What's the weather supposed to be in the scene? What weather will I have on the day? Because that can change things. If the road is wet, then it's become slick. It's changed things. So do I need to go change the conditions of the road? What do I have to do about that? Because there's lots you're always learning. That process is always learning, and you're constantly trying to develop your awareness without getting too broad and philosophical about it. It's you're always trying to be right. What's going on? What have I missed? So your risk assessments are actually really long, detailed possibilities that will probably never happen. You know, maybe the tree gets struck by lightning. It's not going to happen. But you're saying, right, these are my potential hazards. These are my controls. So you're saying, right, well, I'm going to be in a place where this is not going to be present, or this is available, or I have a fire crew standing by, or I have a medic here. I mean, you'll typically have all those things as well. You know, you'll have your standby team. Because if you've got a full complement as well of your team, then you've got extra pairs of hands, eyes, and ears to help you check all these things. Even just simple as stay hydrated. You know, it's one of those little strange things. It's just, you know, when it gets to like 3-4 a.m., you're still having to do this scene. You have to do the whole 10-minute take in one go. Things start to flag.
Well, I think obviously you know, footballers sort of warm up, don't they, before they come on the pitch? Does that mean you have to like limber up for a potentially like full like 12-hour day just so that you're always ready? Because you don't know. I think you can sort of preempt, but you can't you know, always know exactly when it's going to say we need you right now.
Well, I suppose in the film industry at large, it's a lot of hurry up and wait, isn't it? So it's no different for whether it's actors or stunt performers or whatever. You could be sitting and holding for maybe 6 hours, and then with 15 minutes to go, they're like, okay, you know, we're prepping with, you know, prepping for the stunt, and you've got to sort of kind of get yourself there and psych yourself up to do it, as well as being warm and all the rest of it.
I think as well, you've because I remember doing a Scott Adkins film where we had this really cool move. It's called a dive roll 360. You see it in the first Deadpool when he, in the opening fight scene, he does a dive roll 360 over a car or off a car, I think. And the challenge was we had a very narrow corridor to do all our action in because it's a spaceship. And they wanted to introduce the bad guy ninjas, and Andy Long, the stunt coordinator, he was like, how do we do this, because we don't have a lot of room, we can't do really big cool flips. And I said, hey, what about a dive roll 360? He was like, show me. And then I got to be able to do it. So I was like, ooh, spicy. But we did it the first time. It looked stunning. It was great. I was like, okay, that's exactly what we're going to do. That was 10 o'clock in the morning. And then we find out from the rough shooting schedule, it's that shot we're going to do, introducing our ninjas, is going to be the last thing of the day. 7 o'clock at night. It's the middle of winter. And this studio, it's not inside the studio. It's sort of been built out of it. So we're exposed to the elements, basically. And just before that, we've got to do an entire scene where all the ninjas have been defeated, lying on the floor as dead bodies. So there's no...
Like go and lay still for ages. And now get up and do a dive roll 360.
And obviously when you rehearse things, you're completely calm and controlled and happy about things. When they say action, for some strange reason, the adrenaline just goes straight up.
Oh, that adrenaline is such to try and control sometimes. It really is.
How do you do that? How do you like calm? And is it adrenaline? Is it nerves? Is it like everything sort of fueling into one? Is it the pressure of like, oh my God, everyone's now watching, so I need to get this right? Or is it the fear of getting
all of it? All of it.
Above.
I think, I don't know about you, Tom, but for me, the only thing that helps is to do it over and over and over again till it doesn't get the better of you. I mean, I know when I first started sort of fighting for film, I had all these like terrible sort of nervous habits that manifested in my movement that I didn't even realize were going on, when it's like, you know, the shuffling of feet or just having this like misplaced tension in your body or whatever it is. And a lot of it has taken years of sort of ironing out and unlearning and sort of constructive criticism and, you know, and watching it backwards. And I think for me, as relaxed as you can get yourself, and as many times as you can do it until you sort of just have a bit more of a hold on it, the better. I suppose it's like the equivalent of being a high diver or some skydiver or something. You know, the first few times you want to do your pants, and the next, you know, and then you meet people that do it for a living, and they're like, you know, they do 7 jumps a day, and it's like their office, you know, they're cool as a cucumber. So it's a similar thing.
I think it's always that. I find it's a trade-off psychologically, because you can get quite invested sometimes in what you're about to do.
Sure.
Because Yesh-ka's absolutely right. The more you do, the better at it you are, and the more of a handle, because you start to learn to anticipate that. You're going, I know it's going to go bang straight away. It was something we were talking about in Pinocchio, because sometimes it's a good thing to have that sort of adrenaline dump, because you become maybe more aware. Sometimes you'll move right, because, you know, sometimes that high energy really does help a performance. Other times it can be detrimental. With Pinocchio, obviously we've got a 60-year-old character who won't move that explosively, or at least not in that sort of really dynamic way. So sometimes you got to be right. Okay, we got to be aware of it. Because if you're aware of it, you've already, you know, you've shone a light on it, so you've already made it less of an issue. And like Yesh-ka says, there's all these weird tics you find with yourself. I did notice a mutual friend of ours, not going to name names, but he would always, when he was swinging a sword, the same arm would seemingly drag the same leg with him. So he did this weird sort of
interesting
puppet style kick where the sword would swing and his leg would kick out at the same time. Really, like a weird amble, and then that would be it. Then you carry on with the rest of it.
Yeah. It's also infuriating when you don't know what you don't know, unless someone tells you. You probably will never know. But it's also that thing of knowledge is power. You know, the more confident you feel in what you're doing, and if you've done a gag X number of times, the more sort of the less the adrenaline will get the better of you, I would say.
Yeah, you've spoken about like mental preparation, obviously practicing loads, but if it's a stunt you've never done before or it's brand new, like what other types of preparation do you have to do in terms of like training or research? Well, you know, I could answer that because of the year I've had, where I've had so many curveballs. I had a film this year. They wanted to do a strangulation scene. And at first, you know, talking it through, I was like, okay, so I'm imagining both hands around the neck and we're just doing it that way, which is something I'm used to already. So I was like, cool. Then as we're getting closer to the day, they say, you know, in a few weeks' time, it's going to be a bag over their head, which hadn't actually been something I'd ever thought of. You know, it's very rare I've had to do a film where they're talking about those kinds of scenes.
So I was like, wait, how do they do that? So I had to go away and find any scenes I could of bags over people's heads, trying to watch that. I think there's one in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And then I had to go and basically I just got my phone and just started asking everybody I knew. And they were like talking me through, right, okay, so you've got to do a lot of prep. So long story short, I ended up in my garden asking my girlfriend to put a bag over my head. So
it was always going to end that way.
Don't try this at home.
No, well, obviously, this is all under controlled circumstances.
Done by a professional,
point that out pretty quick.
I think for me, I think there's a combination of factors. As you say, research would go into it if it's something that's completely foreign to you. How do other people pull it off? What are the resources that I need? How can I go about practicing this thing for doing it on a film set or in a filming environment? I think there are a few basic skills that as a stunt or action performer you just have to have. Like, you have to be able to fall safely, you have to be able to take some decent bullet reactions, you have to sort of be able to fight within reason, even if it's not super technical. You have to have a basic awareness of being able to make things work for camera. So for example, that stunt that we did the other day on Pinocchio, I had to fall off a treadmill. And I've never fallen off a treadmill before, but
what do you mean?
Not on purpose. Seen other people do it, but there's an element of being like, well, no, I haven't done this particular gag, but I do know how to fall safely. I do know how to sort of, just kind of relax into it and make my body limp so that I don't sort of cause myself any unnecessary injury. And then there's also an element of like, fuck it. Yeah. There's the fuck it element of being like, well, let's see what happens. So as Tom was saying, calculated risk. But then if it was something like something more technical, something like maybe a particular high fall or a wire gag, I would probably go away and figure out how I can train that and how I can learn to do that safely before going on to set. And there are different means of being able to do that around the UK.
Have you ever had to say like no to a job, or like I don't feel comfortable with that type of role? And do you have like specialities as well? Because obviously, you haven't like fallen off a treadmill, but now maybe you're the treadmill pro. Do you find like would you now get more jobs of falling off treadmills? I suppose, do people have their specialities and weaknesses sort of within this field? Obviously, you mentioned that people have to be able to take bullets. Like that's a sort of a must, but then what's the variation around that?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think you definitely have people that are better at certain things than others. You get sort of specialist drivers. You have people that are just really, really good with sword work, for example. Or, they're sort of not into the fighting stuff, but like are really good on a motorbike, whatever the case may be. But I think... and I think so. Personally, for me, I haven't yet had to say no to anything that I didn't feel comfortable doing it. But I also think that there's absolutely no shame in doing that, and I think people should be more comfortable saying no and knowing where they are in their limitations and in their careers, because I think there's nothing worse than either saying yes to something and freezing on the day, or B, saying yes to something out of fear that maybe you won't get another opportunity in the future, and then it's causing serious harm to yourself or others.
No, absolutely. Because it's weird, actually, because I've never... Usually a brief comes through like an email or something, or a phone call, and they say, hey, are you really good at riding a unicycle in your pants with a needle in your eye? And you'd be like, sorry, it's not actually something I do regularly, so I'm not your guy.
Right.
But other times you're given a brief, you turn up accepting the job, and then you find out that they want to do something radically different.
and those are the worst ones. Because I remember I had to do this was for a commercial. It was they wanted to do like a sort of daring bank raid, sort of heist.
Yeah.
So I was brought in as like a security guy because I guess I have that look, right? So we get beat up and we do a very wushu style fight, which is fine. All things within my wheelhouse. And they went, we need a guy who can ride a motorcycle. And option A can't make it, option B can't make it, option C can't make it. Can you be option D? And I said, well, what are we doing? Just riding around. You're going up and down, riding around at speed. Okay, yeah, sure, I can do that because I've got my I've got my own motorbike sitting in the garage right now. I'm still riding about on it. I said, yeah, sure, let's do it. What about a little wheel spin? Could you do a wheel spin? No problem. And I was even, on my drive, just doing a little practice, going, yeah, I'm happy with that. Not doing anything else. I get to set. They've got this huge... I don't know where this is going. I had to walk away in the end. That's the ending. Because the motorcycle was a huge 1,000cc monster. It was huge.
Oh, wow.
So I'm already going, right, that's... I'm not doing much on this bike then. I'll do the wheel spin. I'll do a little bit of riding around. But, other than that, this is... Then they're going, oh, we want to do like a few little jumps. And I'm going... Wait, where's this come from? A few little jumps? What are we talking about here? Oh, don't worry, it's a few days away and it's just going up and down. Then they were...
It's like, thank you for explaining what a jump is.
Okay.
That's what I was worried about.
Yeah. And I'm going, right, I do road bikes. I'm not really that kind of thing. Then they're going, we want to do this other scene where he's in like a garage. Right, okay, well, where's this garage? And it's actually a studio with a shutter door. And it's raining on the day. And with it being a perfectly smooth studio floor, it was very good concreting, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's just an ice rink. Yeah. And this bike is huge. And I'm sort of going, I'm not sure about this. It did end badly for me because I was shouted at basically. They're going like, well, why say you can ride well, I can ride a motorcycle, but what you're asking to do is not what I was briefed on. You've basically thrown this at me last minute. A lot of things were so basically they were like, look, you're not the guy we want. Okay, great. I'm happy to go home at this point.
You were like, well, that was abundantly clear from the fact that you were choice D.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they're confused. But.
We have gone down the totem pole here. So sometimes you have.
Yeah, sometimes saying no. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think. Yeah, and I think the bottom line is that if you're confident in your own ability and what you can deliver, I think you then. Yeah. Can use that to have the confidence to say no when you need to, or to be able to assess and be like, that's not safe, or that's out of my remit, which I think is perfectly fine.
I think, obviously that was some years ago now, that particular job. I think now I would have probably had...
You'd be all over it now.
Yeah. And I might have...
Jumps for days.
Yeah. Now you'd have been like, when they say jump, I say how high.
Well, you do the jump and then say, was it good enough, guys, or do you want to go again? But no, I think as well, one thing that has been hard-won experience is learning to come up with solutions and alternatives. I think if I was to go back to that now, I'd have gone, okay, what is it you're trying to achieve? What is it you want to see? Maybe we can do this another way. Do you know what I mean? There's, and I would have had that conversation saying, I know you really like the look of this bike, but it's 1,000cc. It's not going to behave the same as if we get a nice 250 or 650 bike. Because what was really sort of galling is I had done another short movie on this beautiful
Honda CBR 650. It was in Mayfair actually in London, and I was riding up this ramp into a multi-story car park with a samurai sword and doing all kinds of, and that footage is lost.
No,
that's gone as well. Yeah,
that sounds like the ultimate stunt. That was like all stunts in one.
Yeah, it was really
samurai
cool.
swords, motorbikes, ramps.
The director was really into Naruto as well, so he was trying to do this sort of anime style thing. Yeah, again, you find out these things on the day. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm having tons of fun with this, and then you get another job which sounds the same, and yet the vision is totally off, completely different.
Yeah. Is there a particular, do you guys have to put yourself through quite a rigorous, always ongoing training regime? Like, do you have to go to the gym lots? Are you is there certain exercises you have to do? No. You mentioned wushu as well, which is this martial arts. Like, are you having to do all these things on the regular so that you're always ready for anything? Or do you just, when you do the job enough, you end up inherently training as part of the job?
So, for me, it's about picking my battles.
Gotcha.
So, there's certain things, I think, because we've mentioned cars and bikes, horse riding, there's some skills that I'm going to be like, you know what, this is like a 1-star thing I can do. This is entry-level kind of stuff. So, for example, I'm trying to think of something now that... horse riding, actually. Don't do it a lot. So that's something I'm not going to focus on, not going to worry about that a lot. If I get maybe once a month, I'll be doing pretty well, actually, for me. So there's some things I can say, okay, I'm only going to work on this for a couple of days here. The fitness side of things, I would encourage people to do it as much as they can. Because it's just as much a preventative safety measure as it is having a look and looking aesthetic and just generally your sense of well-being. I would say. Not that that's the be-all and end-all. Sometimes you do want guys who look out of shape. You want guys who don't look great. Because we all get older as well. So there's that to contend with. So I try to focus on the things that I think are applicable and malleable. So for me, like I said, I try to focus on my free running and gymnastics because that transfers quite broadly, and martial arts, and then I keep myself fit doing some running and I won't show you the gun because it's a state right now, but it's full of there's a squat rack and things like that out there, so I try and focus on things like that. And then the more specialized stuff, it depends. It really does depend. I don't have a massive scaffold. So I won't be practicing over that.
For me, personally, I'd say I am kind of consistently training, but as Tom says, you can't train everything all at once. There just aren't enough hours in the day. So for me, I try to keep a good sort of base level of fitness, in whatever way that looks like, and then try and keep the sort of, the bread and butter stuff ticking along. So I do a lot of fighting, a lot of martial arts stuff, a lot of sort of basic training, and then the specialized stuff like as and when. Tom and I did a lot of climbing over the summer,
nice.
Which is cool.
Quite enjoyable.
And also it's fun. Like it's all fun. Like the horse riding I've done a lot of it over the years. But it's I guess it's just about choosing where to put your focus, and you just can't do it all the time. Sadly, I wish honestly if we were just paid to train,
that would solve a lot of issues. That'd be amazing.
Obviously, because I suppose if it's like a long job, then there might be like some pre-production where you sort of can get those that training in. But otherwise, there's a lot of impetus on yourself to just keep yourself ready for when the jobs do come, or like when you then do get to go on set. That is so hard.
And I think the community of action performers that we sort of are a part of are really good like that, about being proactive and just creating our own stuff. So often, sort of action friends of mine will be like, should we just go to these woods and like just, bash out a fight and, like do a hero fight and kind of mix up the choreography. And it's so nice to do, but not everyone is passionate about doing that all the time, or not everyone does kind of try and keep their skill set as fresh as we should.
Yeah, I mean, I do know, because life gets in the way. Because you'll be talking to somebody like, hey, let's go make this. In fact, I don't know if you guys know about, there's a guy called Grant Stevens, who's quite famous on YouTube and Instagram. He's like a martial arts influencer. He does like fitness videos and things like that. He wanted to do a fight scene with me, which was still trying to arrange, because we said, hey, do you know what, we're going to do it like a very old school Hong Kong 70s 80s era sort of style of choreography, really lots of comedy elements, very very fast pace. We were talking about it, very excited to do it, and then the weekend before, Grant's going, I'm sorry guys, right now I've got to focus on the stuff that's earning me money. I'd love to come down, but I can't meet the travel commitment. Man. I've got, and we're all in the same boat, because we're going, well, actually, I should go and do some work, earn a living, maybe.
I guess you're right. Maybe we should
rent. What the hell's that? So sometimes things like that get thrown your way. Because the ideal, like Yesh-ka's saying, is that you just basically live in a studio with everything there, a sprung floor, stables, garage, 50-foot scaffolding with an airbag or 8, trampolines, everything's there for you to do everything. But of course, it's all time. Sometimes it's money as well, So
you mentioned choreography with like putting together a fight scene. Is that a specific or different role within the stunt world? The choreography, is that does that come down to choreographers, or is that something that should be part of one's skill set in the stunt world as well?
That's go on, Yesh-ka.
Depends, doesn't it?
It really does.
It's sort of it depends on the coordinator, and it depends on the nature of the project. So I think on some projects it'll fall on the coordinator, where the coordinator will be like, right, we're creating this fight scene. This is the style of fight I want. This is exactly what I want to see happen, and they'll go away and pre-visit, which stands for pre-visualization for people that don't know, whereas basically where you go and film a version of what a fight will look like for the purpose of production and to take to the director and present to them. So often the choreography will be done by the coordinator, but often it'll be a collaborative thing. So me as a stunt performer and as a fighter, it would be kind of crazy for me not to know how to put a fight together, not to know how to do that, because we might get into a room and a coordinator would be like, cool, can you just put together a 20 move routine? I want to see, this is kind of the style I want. Can you be in this area? I want a few hits to the stomach, whatever the case may be. So I think it's a collaborative effort, I'd say. And it depends on the sort of, I guess, the vision of the director, but also on what and how involved the coordinator wants to be in that process.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And Yesh-ka and I, we were also schooled by the same coordinator back in the day.
Okay.
So we're very much used to operating independently. Because, as you say, sometimes it'll be the director's come in today and he's watched the rushes, he's got a bee in his bonnet, so we need a 10-move fight scene to just move this
moment along. We haven't planned it. We've not got any other details apart from that. So just start working on that right now. I know it's 8 o'clock. I know you haven't had your breakfast and your coffee, but go do that now. And you're like, right, okay, let's go do that. And I've had it where I've spent all morning putting together a fight scene, and the director comes in at noon and goes, whatever you've planned, scrap it. We're going to do this now.
Yeah.
That happens.
Oh, the number of times that happens is unbelievable.
It's heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah. Especially if you've had like a whole rehearsal day.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll just look at a fight and be like, that looks too busy, or I don't know, we need fewer people. Like, it could be anything. We just don't like the look of those people over there. Can we just move them
sometimes
to the back, or can we just cut the numbers? Or maybe the space is smaller than the one that you've rehearsed in. So now suddenly you have 20 people in a space that can only fit maybe 6 people. So you kind of have to move and adapt. Or you don't have as much space to move. So maybe you had this beautiful fight scene choreographed, and now you can not step more than 2 steps in either direction, so it depends.
I mean, sometimes it'll be you've rehearsed in the space and lighting hasn't come in yet, the sound guys haven't come in yet, because you don't know what the top and bottom of the scene is going to be like. So again, it could be the actors are walking in, they've got some dialogue, then there's a kickoff. If we've got the Steadicam coming in, so are we having to work with them? There was a show I did very, very early in my career, where they said, right, it's a big battle scene. It's you're fighting Joan of Arc, and the Steadicam is going to be moving around, so everything's got a loop.
Cool.
And we could be going for 10 minutes plus. So nobody go to the ground, nobody die. Just keep that looping. And you might have a routine which has a start and a finish. So you've gone, oh, right, now we've got to suddenly make it loop back around. So that can happen. Other times, I like the one I was thinking of in particular, where we spent all morning. That was for an Indian movie. And the director, the action director, he's come in and he's very much dyed in the wool. I've always done it this way.
Gotcha.
And in this particular case, his daughter was the director, so it was very much a family affair.
Okay.
And he's gone, right, I'm taking a step back from directing, I'm going to do the action directing now. And I know I remember the phrase he used, he was like, that's going to put bums on seats. That's going to be tickets. So he's thinking very much like that. And he's got this vision in his head. Because if it's a sort of smaller job, if it's not too busy for the coordinator, then they might have a hand in putting together the action, because they're also thinking of the artistic vision of the finished edit, because they're going, it should look this way. If, for example, it's a big show, a big production, they might not have the time, because they'll be doing risk assessments till 2 a.m. Then they've got to be on set. Then they've got to go book this guy. Then they've got to find this. They've got to think about stuff that's weeks ahead. So it's handy then if they've got a dedicated choreographer to put that together, because then you still have that consistent style. That might occur. But then, like Yesh-ka says, it could also be, oh, guys, we've completely missed something. Yes, we wanted to do this fight, but we're on a canal boat. So that's all got to change right now. And you're like, oh, well, we're ready to go. Because I don't know if, Yesh-ka, you've had it as well, but you'll be there looking, you'll be on set looking around, and everyone's busy doing stuff because they're shooting the preamble scenes or whatever. And you're going, wait, is this in the script? I don't remember there being a rhinoceros. I don't. Where did that thing come from? And you start asking people questions, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know." So you're trying to keep your head on a swivel and go,
Or in the case of the couple of recent productions that you and I have worked together on, Tom, sometimes we don't know what's going to be in the space.
Anything.
So maybe now we have a hatchet, or we have a big kitchen knife that has to be incorporated into the mix, or some break.
Or it might suddenly be raining, even though it's an indoor scene.
That was
That was a Pinocchio reference.
Yeah,
it's all part of.
I think there was a few times I was going up to Yesh-ka and saying, right, I know we said this. Now,
however,
I don't know where your hatchet's gone, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, that's...
There was a lot of hunting for above-mentioned hatchet on one of the days, wasn't there?
There was. We're going like, I'm sure there's a hatchet, right? Yeah, have you seen the hatchet? I haven't seen it. And that was...
It's underwater, so...
Yeah.
There were a lot of accusations going around.
Oh no, who's nicked my hatchet?
There was also prizes.
Who's nicked the hatchet?
Oh no.
I think it ended up being someone from
It's always the props. I don't trust them at all, mate.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "Oh, I picked it up and put it under the stairs." I don't know.
Yeah, it's why you want a dedicated person to that role. Because what would be lovely, not that I'm saying this is a necessary thing, but it would have been lovely if there was an armourer with a nice little hard shell box saying, "Don't worry, guys, it's all in this box here."
I see. Yeah,
that would be, That'd be nice sometimes, but when you've got 5 or 6 different people all... Because that was happening on Pinocchio, oh, don't worry, I'll look after that for you. And you're going, cool. Then somebody different comes back. And,
will you?
Here's your axe, right? Well, Pinocchio was a good example, actually, of the things you've got to watch for, because we have our rubber axe, a rubber hatchet, sorry, and then we have a live blade axe.
Of course, yeah.
Luckily, they look totally different, but... those are the things where you really do just want to say, wait.
Yeah, no one wants to be doing a play fight with a live blade, do they?
That almost became a moment where we sort of had to say, no, we're going to have to stop that, because somebody came in and said, oh, can we use that axe with the live blade? And we're going, ooh, and I think Yesh-ka, you came over and were like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm going, no, you're not doing that. We're gonna lose that. That sometimes is part of the coordinator's job. You've got to think of a creative way to say, we're going to get rid of this thing.
Yeah. Especially, I imagine as well, you get the people that just haven't thought about why maybe that's not a good idea, and it's about saying, oh no, that's not a good idea because you might
what
die.
Looks good, and that's the other thing. And that's the other thing. You have all these sort of opposing sometimes visions where the creatives and the directors and whatever, they just like, we want to do what looks the most real and what looks good. So it's about navigating the vision, the creative vision as a whole, with what's practical.
Absolutely.
And which is, I guess, where the ADs and the runners come in with the logistic practicality aspect of it and the budgeting, and then the action people are like, this is what's actually possible and what we can do safely. So it's all a conversation.
And if you're a stunt double for an actor, how closely are you working with that actor, or at all? Like, what's the process of like becoming them, like with your movements and your stunts that you're doing?
Well,
again, it depends, because sometimes you might not have any real interaction with them, because if you're as a double solely doing the entire fight scene or the entirety of the action, you might not need to work with them at all. But when we were working on Pinocchio and Peter Pan, we ended up working very closely with the actors because we wanted to sort of get them involved as much as possible and to get them to be able to do some movement, and obviously to make it look as real as possible. We need to feature them as much as possible, don't we? So
I think what you were saying earlier, Yesh-ka, about it, ideally you want it to be a collaborative process as much as possible. I find that's the most conducive
most the efficient, best way to do it, because like you said, there's been days where I've had to double actors, and I've had photographs with them. I look almost exactly like them, but you hardly talk to them. You hardly do anything.
You haven't spoken to them at all.
You know.
And to me, there's just no greater joy than rocking up to set and meeting this new wonderful person who you totally click with and just get along with like a house on fire, who totally trusts you, and is excited that you're there to help them, and and for it to be this like great sort of teamwork and to work together as a unit. But it's not always the case, but it is like the ultimate bonus where you're just like, where you just get along super well, and they're so receptive to your sort of wanting to make them as well.
The advice I was given, and this is from Doug Coleman, he kicks my ass. He's such a tough.
Literally.
He's a action director and in his own right as well, and second year director now. And he was Robert De Niro's stunt double.
Okay.
They look very similar. They're great friends as well. And he was saying to me, he's like, look, when you're doubling your actor, you've got to be thinking all the time, like, how you can become them. So he said to me, he was like, when I was doing Heat, for example, I was following De Niro around. I was copying his walk. And you should be learning their movement language. So, and they'll be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And you'll be like, "Oh, I'm just trying to move like you do. So I'm trying to learn your mannerisms." and
De Niro's like, "Can you keep doing somewhere else?"
No. Can you cut that out? Well, okay, maybe. But in this particular instance, De Niro was like, "Oh, wow, that's great. Of course." But I never thought of that. Because then what happens is that, ideally, it's back to that high stakes illusion thing. Like with Yesh-ka and Pinocchio, there's our actress looking scared and terrified, picking up that axe. Next thing you know, there's this beautiful swing where it's like, whoa, she's trying to kill this guy. And we've sold that illusion that the character has done that. And this moment is happening and the audience is going, whoa, that's amazing. And really, it's been this whole week-long collaborative process where your performer and your actress have come together and gone, hey, how are we going to achieve this? And there's this years of experience all being sort of distilled into that one moment. And everyone's sitting there in the cinema going, wow, wasn't that great? That's
so on top of the... sorry, Yesh-ka, you go.
Shoot.
No, go for it. No, I was just going to say, I think if you're coming in for a sort of short, quick stunt, sometimes there isn't that opportunity. But I think in an ideal world, like if you can get to spend as much time as the person you're doubling, and as you say, kind of be able to emulate their movement and do that work beforehand, I think it makes all the difference.
So on top of like the sort of physical aspect and learning all the things you need to learn, you're also thinking about the character's emotion and how they would perform that actual thing.
I was going to ask about this actually. Yeah, like how much of an actor do you need to be in a way to be a stunt performer? Or because I know some people maybe do you get people coming from dance backgrounds, but does it help more if you've got an acting background? Like, how much of that comes into play and sort of what backgrounds are helpful?
So I'm actually from an acting background, and sort of grew up acting and did a theatre degree, and then went to film school for acting. So I maybe only I've always done martial arts and things, but only got into the action world maybe sort of 6 years ago or so. So I found it super, super helpful in terms of the fact that when I was kind of going through the fighting training and whatever, there were a lot of people that were incredibly self-conscious, and you need to totally put that aside. And for me, I've never had a fear of like using vocal energy or making weird sounds or whatever that comes with the performance aspect of fighting or stunts. But it's quite amazing how I think if you look at good action performers, I think there is an element of acting and performance to it, whether people call it acting or not. I think it's almost a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting how many action performers really fear that side of it. And I look at action performers I know who aren't from an acting background but are very good at what they do, and I'm like, but you do act. I'm like, but you do perform, you do, come and give it beans and like commit to the moment and respond truthfully in the moment. I'm like, you are acting, even if that's not what you call it. So I think there is a huge performance element required.
I think very much there's no such thing as wasted knowledge. Like Yesh-ka says, a lot of people do come into this, they may not be formally trained as actors, for example. I've never had any formal training as an actor, and you need it. You do need it, because you get thrown that many curveballs, and stuff needs to read on camera. So when, like I said, we're talking about swinging a sword or swinging an axe or falling over, it needs to look like it's part of that story world. And that really, I've seen it because I've put together a few car chases before, and what I never realised, I was watching a take with these cars just chasing down the road. They're all driving fast, and my top drivers were the guys who were moving the car as though they were in a hurry. And it's something I never thought of before. And I just watched the way the car the way it moved. It was like, I believe that driver really wants to get somewhere, that something's happening. Whereas if I'd watched the same action be performed, and it could be anything. I'm talking about a car here, but it could be an axe swing, it could be anything else. And it just isn't the same. There's just no performance there. There's no intent.
Yeah, it's like when you're wounded, if someone's, wounded, or if you actually are trying to, like, if you're fighting someone, you actually need to look as though you're trying to kill each other, and like have that intention in your eye, and or look fearful if you're being attacked, or whatever the case may be. And the more you commit to it from a performance perspective, the more it'll sell. From an action perspective. And by the way, as an action performer, the number of times people are asked to just deliver a line quickly, would it be possible for you to just say X before like taking this person out or whatever. So there are a lot of people that won't be very willing to put their hands up to do that. But I think if you can sort of make it as easy as possible quietly for the director in the moment, then the better, and if you can deliver a line or two and not make it sound super eggy, then bonus.
So Yesh-ka, because you were in the new Star Wars series, the Acolyte, right?
The Acolyte.
And you're not doubling for anyone in that. You're sort of just part of the squad. So you have to do some performing, as it were, like before the action.
Some Jedi action.
So what's the process like of getting that role? Like, do you have to show that you can do that performance side as well? Or were they, in that case, like looking for sort of stunt performers first?
So in that instance, they were looking for action performers because it wasn't actually super heavy in terms of the action, but it was a chase sequence. They wanted people that could sort of draw a weapon and sort of make it look convincing if it all kicked off. And then so I was availability checked as an action performer, and then I guess they also were doing it on look. So that had to be a non-negotiable, that we could do the action or deliver on the action side of things. That then gets sent to the casting director or the AD, and then they then make their selections depending on who looks best. Or they
was it quite affirming to sort of, obviously when there is that sort of visual judgment as well, that you have the visual look of a Jedi? Is that, because I feel like that would help me sleep easy.
So I might be burnt alive with saying this, but I didn't grow up as a huge Star Wars fan.
Okay, Tom, what are your thoughts on this matter?
I only watched.
The Force is strong with this one, Dan. Yeah.
I only watched Star Wars for the first time in lockdown, and I watched them all back to back. But it's not lost on me that it is kind of a cool thing to be a Jedi, and I definitely have to tread carefully when I say I'm grateful to the opportunity, but for me it was just a really cool costume and a cool thing to say that you did. But I think it might have slightly been lost on me, slightly.
That's funny. I was going to, just before we head towards our last couple of questions, I wanted to ask if you guys had a favourite scene that you had both been in and a favourite stunt that maybe you'd like watched in another film that you're like, that was so cool, whether you wish that you were involved in it or whether you were just in awe of it. And it could be like old school movies. I know old school movies have got they're renowned for some of their stunts because they would just, there's no way you would do them today. But maybe there's some newer stuff that looks cool as well.
For me, one scene that I just think is so cool is that it's in one of the Avengers films, that Black Widow scene with Scarlett Johansson in the chair. It's just such a cool fight, and I think as a female action performer, you just look at a fight like that and you're just like, I would love to be able to recreate and achieve something like that. In terms of scene. In terms of I wouldn't say it's a stunt as such, but one of the productions that I enjoyed working on the most was a show called The Great with Nick Holt and Elle Fanning. Purely because I'd sort of watched the first season during lockdown and just thought it was an utterly brilliant show. The writing's incredible, the acting's brilliant. It's sort of this kind of dark, offbeat, macabre sense of humor that's just like exceptionally well done. And then and then it was one of my first jobs out of lockdown. So and it was fighting, which we love, with people, with action performers that I knew and loved. And in a show that I really, really liked and respected. So for me, like, it's cool to do the Marvel stuff. It's cool to do the Star Wars stuff. Not hating on it, but it's far more meaningful to work.
If anyone's listening.
But for me, it's far more meaningful to walk onto a production that you already like and respect, or work with people that you already love and respect, because it's just such a cool. There's nothing better, actually.
Yeah.
No, hugely that.
What's yours, Tom?
It's a similar thing because, there's quite a few. The one that leaps to mind, literally, there's an old John Woo movie. It's called Hard Boiled, and it is relentless. The pace of it is just. It's from the first few minutes of the movie. It's guns, it's explosions, people diving everywhere. It's a relentless action movie, and the pinnacle of it for me is one of the Act 2 scenes where there's a warehouse shootout.
Nice.
So all the bad guys, all the villains in a warehouse, and there's Chow Yun-fat by himself. He abseils down from the roof with a shotgun. It's utterly ridiculous, but it's brilliant. And the stunt that sticks out in my mind is he's killed off most of the bad guys now, so we're nearing the end of this scene, and how you explain it I don't know, but it just seems to work. There's a motorcycle rider, and he's decided, right, I'm going to ride my motorcycle at the hero. That's going to be the thing that kills him, right? That's going to work. So he rides towards Chow Yun-fat. Chow Yun-fat's there with this pump action. I think it's like a Remington shotgun or something. He shucks it. The rider flies up into the air. While he's in midair, Chow Yun-fat fires the shotgun. The bike explodes. But we're not done yet. The bike has exploded. As he hits the ground, it's sliding across the floor. Chow Yun-fat, he's got no time, right? He jumps over the bike, which is sliding towards him, shoots the guy dead again, or shoots another guy dead, I think, and then he lands, and then we carry on with that scene. That stunt I would love to do myself. I don't know what part I'd be in that anymore. Would I be the guy on the bike? Would I be the guy?
You're gonna have to
say.
You're gonna have to share the scene in the footnotes.
Yeah,
I was thinking that.
I am. Yeah, we're gonna have to. And that goes back to what Yesh was talking about, because I think my favourite job still. I did an Indian movie actually called Commando 3 over here in Bradford, I think it was. But the team, and I'm not saying this to Yesh-ka, I wish Yesh-ka had been on that job too, because it was such a good team, and we had such a good fun. But we were also doing like really crazy stuff, guys jumping out of windows while buildings explode and that kind of stuff. The stuff that it's, you go, wow, yeah, that's a stunt. I'm a stunt guy, right? And I'm hoping we get that soon, me and Yesh-ka, because the guys on that, because it's nice when you as a team are all going, hey, did you see that movie? Yeah, I love that movie. Yeah, me too.
You found your people.
That's always a great... Yeah, exactly. Like, you're always looking for that tribe. And sometimes it's not quite the same. I think we've both been in teams where we're going, maybe this isn't my scene. That maybe it's not that you don't get on. You probably get on fine, but you get on
like
fine.
House on Fire.
On amazing. And you... Well, sometimes, literally.
I don't understand. The house is on fire, but I'm still not getting on with them.
Are we rolling? that kind of thing. And I think this year, definitely, I've been quite lucky to have had such a great bunch of people to work with.
You included, Dan.
Yesh-ka's been great.
Oh, stop it.
Absolutely, yeah. Like you say, it's a collaborative process, it's a collaborative effort. Because you're rolling into work first thing in the morning. You need that caffeine hit, otherwise you're going to murder somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
And you need to know, it's always great because I'll roll it. I'll see you down
every time.
That's guaranteed. Every time, and that actually means a lot. And I know that while I'm sat there with my coffee, Yesh-ka's going to go, hey, Tom, don't worry. I've got everything sorted. Yeah. I'm ready to go. And you're going, oh, thank God.
I think at the end of the day, when it comes to the film industry, it's about who can you stand to see at 4 a.m. and like that's it's just about being with good people, isn't it? And being around people that you can that you're happy to see at the early hours.
Is there any stunts, by the way, just for our young listeners, that they could maybe try and put in their films, or any things you would say definitely don't do that? I'm just thinking,
like don't try this at home, kind of thing.
Yeah, anything that you would say you can try this at home, or anything you say you don't try this at home.
I have a friend, a very, very close friend of mine, who likes to do a lot of DIY stunt attempts in his own time, and he actually made a squib. He's a scientist as well, and he made a squib, which is like
yes, I know who you're talking about.
For anyone who doesn't know what a squib is, it's basically something that explodes when like blood, they fill it with blood and stuff, so that when someone gets shot, then it explodes, right? So it's attached to an electric wiring. I don't know, I've never made one, but it's attached to something that then you press a button and it goes boom. And he basically made the squib that he attached to himself in his backyard that then exploded inwards and caused him a 3rd-degree burn. And he was recovering from his injury for literally months, and it was just a bad time. So I'd say don't do anything at home that you don't know enough about.
Don't try squibs at home.
I think if you want to practice some safe falls, put a mat down. There's no need to hurt yourself unnecessarily either. Even for real, when you're doing it on set, if you can pad yourself up, if you can put some knee pads on, if you can put a crash mat down, like, why not? Like, you do whatever you can get away with to keep yourself safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would quickly, because I remember getting a phone call. Weirdly, the squib thing has happened to me as well.
Oh, no.
On a set.
No way. Someone
professional
just
set.
put it on you incorrectly,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, well, I was being shot by a sniper in this particular scene, so I had to rush out from cover with my little rifle, and then because I've burst cover, I get shot dead. So they've got a squib in on my back. Luckily, I padded up ahead of time anyway, because I thought, well, look, I don't know what's coming, so I'm going to wear everything. So I've got my backpack on, I've got everything on my shoulders. And this, again, it was an Indian production, so this guy comes in, he says, hey, I'm just going to put a squib on you. Cool. Then I realise, as we're going along, I'm attached to a car battery, which is unusual. Usually it's a remote detonation, and it's a radio thing. And I had no idea, because I saw the rushes back, and I rush out, get shot dead, okay. But I'm going, there's no blood. And I was lucky in this instance, because what had happened, the pad had took the depth charge. So I was fine, but they put it in backwards. So I had all this blood inside my clothes, all down my back. And obviously the pads look a little bit scorched. Because they just didn't realise, oh yeah, it's got to explode outwards. Oh yeah.
because there's normally it's like almost like a bit of metal or something. There's like a shield to stop it from injuring someone. So like, I don't know. I mean, I've never done squibs, but I feel like it should be fairly apparent which side is inside and which side is outside. Because on one side is the explosives, and on the other side is the protective bit of metal or whatever it is.
You'd think so.
It's well, yeah, you would. You'd kind of hope, and it's if you're doing it all the time, then you're comfortable working with it. But sometimes it's 2 minutes before lunch, guys. People start to rush. That can happen. The thing I wanted to bring up that was different to Yesh-ka's example was I had a phone call off a friend of mine. They were working on a little indie movie. He was like, hey, how do you do like hits with, I don't know, a frying pan? I said, well, get a fake one, get a rubber one first. So have your prop that you want to see in the movie, and then get a facsimile, get a fake foam one made that looks the same, and then you can use that. Cheat the distance, don't actually be close, and make sure there's like a nice 2-foot gap between the actor and your frying pan. So I'm giving him all this advice. He's like, yeah, cool. We've already shot the scene. I'm like, why are you asking me then? This is, it's way too late now. He's like, well, we did it with a real frying pan, and
whacked someone.
We hit the actor in the nose. Yeah, he's in hospital now, and he's got a C-shaped scar around his nostril, and I'm like, what? So basically, I think he just rang me to somehow prove a point. And I was like, well, why did you call me way before any of this? So, I think measure twice.
Don't hit anyone for real.
That's the golden rule. No, please don't use a real thing in anything.
On the Young Film Academy courses, whenever sort of film combat comes up, it's always stress safety distances. Like film's the one, like stage. Sometimes you have to be a bit closer and fake the noise, but you don't have to fake the noise in film. You don't have to. You don't have to be that close, because you can fake the distance with the camera. The camera is what is selling the fact that you're coming into contact rather than actual closeness and proximity.
Absolutely.
So, guys, the final two questions that we always ask our guests is, what were you up to during your teenage years that maybe you didn't know at the time, but maybe you did, that turned out to be really useful for what you do now? And what advice would you give to that teenage version of yourself? So, what were you up to, and what advice would you give that teenager today? Who would like to go first?
I'll go first.
So
for me, I was doing all the extracurricular acting and classes and plays that I possibly could. I was public speaking. I was part of the debating team. I was like I did it all. And I did martial arts growing up until I was probably about 18. So they both sort of kind of tied into have proved quite fruitful and quite useful. So I guess the the advice that I would give to my younger self is stop doubting yourself, trust your instincts, and get it done. Just do it. Like, done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
And pursue what you're
I like
passionate
that.
about, because it will always pay off.
Nice.
Yeah, that's. I feel like Yesh-ka was way more organised than I was as a teen, because I just went. You know what? I love martial arts. I've been doing that since I was 6. And when I was a teenager, I was really like absorbing everything. So I'd be like, hey, how did he do that kick? How did he do? And I would go away and figure out a way to do that. So I was just a ball of energy, just constantly trying out new things. That's what I was up to, just doing very physical. The Jump Britain had just come out, so parkour was like a thing, tricking was a thing. I think the advice, apart from the same thing that Yesh-ka said, always trust in you, because it's so easy to look at another person and through comparison just go, wait a minute, am I doing the right thing here? Which is, you're all, if you're worried, then you've made a mistake in your thinking. Does that make sense? So I would, my advice to teenage me would be, yes, keep going. That's, you're doing the right thing. That would be my advice to them. You're watching, you're learning, and that's the trap of adulthood, is you think you've stopped learning. And you really haven't. You should still. It's been a long time since I was 19, but I still feel like that. Hopefully, everyone, Yesh-ka, you feel the same at 21. You try and keep that fire burning. Absolutely, because especially film industry, it can be brutal. It can be cutthroat. That people will say, look, you're just no good for whatever reason, and you'll think it's a personal thing. You'll be like, oh, I've failed as a human being. That's why they don't want me. Yeah, and it really isn't. You don't have that look. You don't have that. It'll be something really incidental. You don't look like a dad. You don't look like a fat, balding guy in his 50s. You don't look like a 18-year-old girl. And that's absolutely fine. You just have to trust that, you are good enough. And as long as you still love it, then you're not done.
I love that you squeezed in one more reference there.
Absolutely. Lastly, I was just going to say, if there was people that are thinking this sounds like the job of my dreams, is there any way that you could point them of like resources that they could check out to start learning, training, or like ways that they can try and get into it?
Yeah, for sure.
I think a lot of people I know wish that we'd either known that stunts was a possibility or a career option, and be gotten into it sooner. So I think if it's something that you want to pursue, train a martial art, super cheap, super accessible, doesn't matter which one, get into martial arts. Start doing things like gymnastics, start enrolling in sort of local clubs, or it doesn't have to be big changes. Start doing what you can do in your area, whether it's signing up to a swim club or a gymnastics club or a parkour group. I think there's so much that you can do that's probably on your doorstep.
Definitely, get active, and even if you walk in thinking, oh, this isn't what I was hoping for. This isn't good enough. Just scale it. You know what I mean? Like you might not be able to walk into a gymnasium and do a round off back tuck twist and then flick, all at one go. So you go, right, okay, what, maybe a cartwheel.
You saying you guys can't do that?
Just.
Tom probably can.
I do those for breakfast.
Tom probably can.
I'm joking.
I have a little anecdote this week. So the gym I teach at, there's a competition squad. And these are the kids, they're hoping to go to maybe the Olympics someday. And I'm just this old guy with a beard, right? And I walked in on the floor and I'm going to do round off full twist just for fun. And they were like, all right, sure, whatever. And then I did it really clean, walked off. And the comp squad kids were like, what? Where did that come from? We didn't know you could do that. Oh my god! And then
you must have felt like Tom Cruise in Top Gun Maverick, where he does the. Have you seen that film? But he does the course to prove that it's possible.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah, keep believing, guys.
Yeah.
That's the. Yeah, it wasn't at all just a stroke. No, not at all.
Guys, thank you so much. It's been such an enjoyable
thank you so much.
Thank you both
so much.
Thank you for sharing your wisdom with the next generation.
Thank you for having us. It's been
awesome
so
to
much
chat
fun.
to you guys.
It's great to see everyone.
I am a big stunt person. I don't know about you. I love action sequences. I love watching Corridor Crew. They sort of do these YouTube videos where it's stunt people react.
Yeah.
And they sort of watch clips from of like crazy stunts from movies.
I definitely appreciate an action film. It's not like my top genre that I'm a fan of. But I do find like when I'm watching them, I get like completely sucked in and just like a little kid, like, wow, like explosions, like punching, wow. And it just, So
it's pretty cool.
I'm a fan. But I don't watch those YouTube videos.
You're more of a fan than Yesh-ka is about Star Wars, I think, is what we're establishing here. I couldn't believe that. It's devastating. You know what? Because she was in it as well, it hurt more.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I could have been in it.
It's something that divides people so much, isn't it? Or it's always just, when someone goes, well, actually, I didn't watch Star Wars. I didn't grow up watching Star Wars. And everyone's like gripping the side of the table.
But no, that was it was super useful. I think it was amazing hearing about like what people can be doing, like learning martial arts and stuff. Like there are things you could literally be doing now if you think you might want to become a stunt performer, and also hearing that it's complementary to acting.
Yeah,
sounds
like
good.
where sort of action gymnastics, like gym training, kind of intersects with acting and character building and stuff.
And you could potentially be both, you could be an actor, but then also, do stunt work as well, and like have both careers sort of simultaneously, which will be very beneficial, I think, and will make you more employable.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool. And it also means when you get like the acting gigs, you can do some of your own stunts as well.
Yeah, you have a little extra spice to add. Like, I can also do like 15 backflips in a row if you need that.
Absolutely.
It's just so cool that I think the only equivalent feeling I could have had in my life that comes even close to like what they do is like when something slips off the side of the desk and you catch it really quickly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Oh. I mean, I don't think I can do that.
But maybe just if a mug knocks over and you catch it before it smashes.
I'm picturing that Spider-Man scene, when he like has the tray and he like catches all the items on it and catches Mary Jane. I mean, if you can do that, then stunts.
I can do it with like one mug a year. So
okay, nice. How many mugs do you not catch?
3.
Okay, so 1 in 4. You can catch.
I'm not talking just mugs, actually. I'm talking like all kind of smashable crockery.
Falling objects.
Yeah, I'd say 1 in 4, and like four
Nice.
get
Specifically,
smashed.
like with coffee in them. Like, is it because you've been having coffee and you're like buzzed up and you're like, oh, and then
I think it happens a lot with like putting things away that I've just washed up,
yeah,
and they're a little bit
Absolutely.
slippy.
yeah, very. These are great skills though, and they're transferable as well. Is what I love about them.
So,
especially if you did want to get into. If
you've got good
films.
reflexes.
I've got a question. This question is from Sam, who is 16. He says, I want to incorporate some fighting choreography in my film. How can I go about doing this safely and effectively? What are your thoughts based on everything you have heard, Ellen, so far?
So I think
in this podcast,
at the beginning, what Tom was saying about the risk assessment, and he was considering so many different factors that could go wrong. So, and being just really thorough with the different variables that can impact the safety of something. So thinking about the weather, just thinking about all those different aspects. So my advice would be, when making something as safe as possible, to think of the worst case scenario and then like scale it back in, or just like think about as many things as you can. And I think there's also online so many good resources on how to do risk assessments and what things to consider for a risk assessment, and that can give you the type of ideas of what you need to make things safe.
Absolutely, yeah. And I genuinely would recommend, like, I think the 4-day film school at YFA do and the summer camp both teach safe punching. So genuinely, you should not be getting anywhere close to actually hitting someone.
Yeah.
That's one thing I would say. Like, you do different techniques for each shot, but definitely, check, like, look online to see if you can find how other people do it. But I wouldn't be attempting any sort of, unless you're doing backflips in gymnastic classes, so it's like firmly within your skill set that you do under supervision. Then like I wouldn't be going near anything like that in your fight scene.
Yeah.
But you can do a few punches, and then put some blood on someone's nose, like between a couple of the punches, and then it makes it feel like the more and more blood's coming out.
I think
But so
definitely
often what I see is
small.
you say keep your distance, and then throughout the course of let's say there's 5 punches in a row, throughout the course of those 5 punches, the other actor just gets closer and closer because they're just thinking about hitting that person rather than they're thinking about retaining their distance. So it's about safety. It's about making sure both people are safe as well, and not doing anything beyond your physical means.
And I think something that you learn in film school when you get into the film industry is that safety is actually the thing that comes before anything else.
100%.
So
it's not worth it. Whatever your shot is, it's not worth it.
It's about looking after the crew and the cast, and making sure everyone's safe. So
and this is obviously accidents happen on big film sets, but as Tom was saying, it's not about doing anything actually dangerous. It's about doing something that looks dangerous, and that is what the art of stunts is. So those are our thoughts. We hope that was helpful. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining me, Ellen.
Thank you for having me. I've learnt loads as usual.
Absolutely, and we'll see you guys on a future episode.
See you soon. Bye.
See you soon. Make sure you send us your questions at podcast@youngfilmacademy.co.uk, and we'll answer in our future or relevant episode.